Hi, folks. I'm Joe Wesley, and my guest today is Eva Coppola. You can tell this
Coppola,
is. I'm saying, how do you
Eva
say?
Coppola,
Fair enough.
Coppola.
I thank you for correcting me. As you say, folks, this is I'll say live pre-recorded. And what I mean by that is we don't rehearse it. But before I get into the technical side, thank you for joining us. For those of you who are seeing us for the first time, welcome. For those who are coming back again and again, we appreciate that. The concept is I want to learn, along with you, my audience, our audience, more about who is this person Eva. And if you have need for her services, why would you consider her over the competition? And I call that your hot sauce flavor and her hot sauce aura. So my role today is to help discover her secret sauce when I say hot sauce. And as I said, this is live. We don't rehearse it. There's no script to it, no pre-questions. But what is it about Eva that will draw you to her in her given industry over anybody else out there in the competition? And before I forget, please remember to subscribe, to share likes and commentary. I begin by asking what's your favorite pastime? And I do that deliberately as opposed to tell me about yourself because your pastime goes to your passion. It describes who you are, the person. Tell me about yourself. Well, I've had 3 divorces. I've sold my 5th business. I got 8 grandchildren. It has nothing to do with the person. That's for the first 2/3 of the program. The last part of it, we actually talk about Eva's business. And my role is I don't claim that I see dead people, but I will help you discover unique value about yourself that nobody else can lay claim to. And I do call that your secret sauce. I used the word earlier, hot sauce. It really is the same thing. If you like the flavor and it's hot, it's good to go with. Having said that, I'm now going to ask Eva, what's your favorite pastime?
First, before I answer you, I'm very honored to be here with you. Thank you for this time. It's really wonderful. And I'm very excited to continue to get to know you more and work with you and all sorts of other possibilities.
Thank you.
My
Same here.
favorite, my favorite pastime, or one of them, is to dance. And there is certain music that I mean, dance in general, I
Mm-hmm.
is something where I can turn my brain off and just physically be in that space of absolute freedom and liberation and joy
I hear
because
that.
I'm expressing myself.
I'm going to ask you a question. Now, at what age did you start dancing that you can recall? Now, you see
Oh,
3-year-olds sometimes that dance on the floor to themselves, and
just what apt since birth, since I could walk.
fair enough.
Since
And was it? Do you recall? I don't have much memory before I was 3 years of age, but since you're an early starter, do you recall how it made you feel? Or because I'm assuming your left brain wasn't quite functional then about release of stress and whatnot. What was the appeal about dancing as an early child that drew you?
well, that's what I was saying when you jumped in there, but
Okay.
that there is a I can express myself through my physical energy, my pure energy, my
Mm-hmm.
spirit energy, and that is the purest and most authentic thing about us as humans.
Right.
And then I don't have to think anymore. I can just be. And physical movement does that for us, no matter what we're doing. For me, expressing through dance is that most pure, authentic way to just be. And the words can come from that. The emotions, the expressions can diversify out of that because people will receive that and see it and experience it. So
I hear that.
all of the information comes through on that.
Right. And folks, I should make a comment also. When you see me looking down, it's not like I'm falling asleep. But again, I start off with a clean slate when I have my dialogue with my guest. And by the time at the end of this block of time, it's really filled up with commentary that and questions I want to come back and ask about. And you say there's not a particular style of dancing that you do. It's dancing for the pure joy of it.
No, I do all sorts of styles of dance. I specialize in samba and I love salsa too. I really love it.
I'm sorry.
And
What was
other
that second? I'm
dance.
sorry. What was that second word again? I'm not familiar with it.
Salsa,
Oh,
salsa,
salsa. Okay.
and other Latin dance. Um, But all dance really gets me, inspires me. When samba is playing in particular, though, I can't sit down.
Mm.
It's very hard for me to stay seated, I should say.
Okay, now I'm intrigued. I'm always intrigued by people like this type dance versus or style versus square dancing versus river dancing. What is it about the flow of it that draws you to this particular style of dancing?
I don't know if it's a cerebral consideration. It's
Okay,
really at a gut. It's really a gut and energy. It's maybe I had a past life. I couldn't tell you, but it isn't a conscious cerebral thing. It's very visceral.
okay. Now I
Visceral.
understand in the art of samba, there's like 18 variations, something like that. It's some astronomical number of nuanced versions of the dance that
There
you
are.
described.
Yeah.
And if I'm correct about that, would you describe more about this particular style and what it is you like about it?
Well, I do many of the styles
Mm-hmm.
of samba.
Okay.
Bossa. There's a lyrical form. I'm forgetting the name of it right now, but it's a lyrical form that we perform to bossa.
Mm-hmm.
There's also now I'm losing names all over the place, but I specialize in many different forms. Another form is Rio Carnival samba.
Okay.
Another form,
But let me,
yes,
I'm going to interrupt again. Let me ask you this, because in all fairness, I don't know what the names mean, so to hear them, they don't hit me. But what I am intrigued by is that I understand each version, there may be three major clusters of the beat, rhythm, tempo. And I'm off on that because I'm curious about there's something about this particular samba style that is different than the other styles that you are drawn to. I'm trying to get a better sense. Is it the beat, the
well,
tempo?
I'm referencing samba as the umbrella classification.
Okay.
To answer your question, I do many different styles of it, but it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter to me which one we're talking about
Ah,
at all.
okay.
Um, I'm, anything will do.
Well, I'm intrigued because certainly because the nuanced versions of it, and it's really can be intricate dancing. I think people think it's three basic steps or to an 8-beat format without getting too
No,
technical.
it's not. Yeah.
Right, I don't know what I'm talking about on that, folks. I'll be the first to admit that. But it's more intricate than I thought it was, and I'm assuming, or I'm guessing that the intricacy of it also draws you to it, or it flows into it, or am I? I'm not sure even how to ask the question correctly.
It's just animal instinct.
Okay, I hear that. I hear that.
It spoke to me. It was instantaneous. Nothing cerebral there.
How did you get into this? I'm assuming you didn't grow up in Latin America as a lifestyle, or
I grew up with Brazilian music, and that being a scent, it was the first musical love I had,
okay.
and I was exposed to it right away.
Ah, interesting. So you have a musical family. They'll play different forms of music, and are you drawn to this one style?
My parents were well, they're both dead now, but my parents were musicians, or are, um, and they had a relatively deep set of connections with Brazilian musicians and music makers,
Right.
and it was there, and I was exposed to it instantly. It's not the only form of music that they created and played.
Mm-hmm.
My father was ended up primarily being just almost entirely a jazz pianist,
Oh,
and pretty much didn't it wasn't interested in playing anything else.
right.
And but their styles were diverse. It's just that Brazilian music was a big part, and it was dominant, and it was my first musical love.
I hear that. Now, in terms of being involved in music, you mentioned your parents will also play music. Do you play an instrument in addition to responding to music?
Well, I'm a singer and a music creator, and I've been a singer since I was a child, and a dancer and an actor, and in addition to being a technologist, in addition to being an author and a model. So, as a creator, as a singer, that was something I did from my youngest age. And then the first instrument I played was piano, and then I played the violin, and then I went to Juilliard for the flute. And I was singing all through that anyway.
Fair enough. I'm making note for it. I'm a slow writer, so hang in there with me. Now you say you're also a singer. Do you sing the same flavor of music that you like responding to in dancing?
Yeah, plus everything else.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I hear that.
I have a full discography of work I've created up to this point. In
Mm-hmm.
addition to that, I have blended samba and bhangra, and bhangra is the popular dance
Excuse me.
rhythm.
How do you spell that? I'm not familiar with the name.
Bhangra,
Yes.
Bhangra,
Hmm.
and that is the popular dance rhythm of India. So if you hear Bollywood, most of what you're hearing is bhangra or forms of bhangra.
My gosh.
India and Brazil have a long relationship. It goes back to the days of the 16th century when Vasco da Gama
Right.
ventured out and began to conquer territories. So he landed in Goa, India, and that was a territory of Portugal for a long time.
Okay, I'm going to interrupt again. However good that is, it has nothing to do with Eva. It has a lot to do with Eva, but I want to talk more about Eva specifically, if you don't mind. So we'll come back to this. Interesting,
Well,
by the
that's
way.
why
Go
that's the
ahead.
historical part of the blend of samba and bhangra.
Okay.
That there's yeah.
Well, I know too little of that style of music. My first contact to even ask you a question, so I'm going to walk away from that part of your lifestyle. You say you also are an author. Is your author
Yes, sir.
musically inclined as a concept, or does it different flavor?
I'm an author when it comes to poetry, but I'm also an author as in nonfiction.
Okay,
So I published my first nonfiction book on May 1st of just this past year.
congratulations.
This is, thank you very much. This is the book, which the camera is sort of not
And
cooperating.
it's
But anyway,
it's
yeah,
finally free. Yes.
finally free. The subtitle of the book is My Exodus from the Covert Malignant Narcissist Sociopaths.
Right.
This book is autobiographical. There will be two more books, also autobiographical, at least two more, also autobiographical, but they will not be on this subject. They will be about other subject matter,
Fair enough.
but
And
they will all be auto.
when we get into your business side of the dialogue, then we'll talk more about that concept. I have to say, folks, and I don't have to say it, I say it willingly. Eva is again not scripted, no prior history of this other than another session that didn't quite go through. The most intricate person I've met, and I find that
Thank you.
intriguing. And so as a result, we are tip top. It's like a square dance. So for those who've done that, that sometimes we're together, sometimes we're not, but we keep saying, "Bring your partner home and swing her around," or swing me around now in terms of today's world. So that's where we are on this. That the other concept I have in question for you is the focus that I'm hearing so far is one, you're creative. Two, you're also detail focused. And because I mentioned samba being a style of dancing, my knowledge of it that the steps are far more intricate variations. You choose the version that you say, or you're eclectic about that. I'm hearing you correctly. And it's not enough. I'm actually going to the business side. We're talking about this lady, but I have enough to work with. So let me shift my gears here. That the whole concept is, who is this person again, Eva? Now, have your name there, Eva Trice. What is that? Is it a marketing technique, or how does that work for the audience or for yourself?
That's my brand name.
Right,
So I use it as the name for my, I am the author, Eva. It's the
mm-hmm.
artist name. It's the brand name. It's also the business brand name.
Right.
Um, and I use it in my technology business as well. And that's Eva Biz.
Okay.
So
Now,
the
see,
brand itself, the umbrella brand is Eva. And this logo is one of my logos.
okay, I see. Very nice.
And anytime I sign something, if I'm signing it as Eva, there's always the heart with the radiating image outward. That's part of the logo, the standard Eva
Okay,
brand.
so here the style or the content. What does that mean symbolically to you, with the heart radiating out?
Just what you would take on the surface. It's what does a heart radiating out mean to anyone?
Well, it could mean something to me different to you. So I can give you a brief interpretation on my end, and you'll correct me when it doesn't fit you in. Why don't we do it that way?
Yeah.
That when I see a heart radiating out, it could be anything. It could be something, a bleeding heart syndrome. That's maybe worst case scenario. It could be I give my heart totally to you. It could be a combination of some sliding scale in between. And so this is really not about Joe Wesley in terms of what he thinks. It's kind of what you're expressing. Because I understand the more we get a flavor of who you are, the more we get a sense of your secret sauce, the more value we can get back from you. That's why I'm asking you the
Yeah.
question.
A heart represents love and the deepest, so radiating just the best qualities of what a heart represents.
Okay, I hear that. Now, so when you're dancing, do you feel you exude that same type of radiation that what draws you
It
to what
would
you're doing?
probably be the most, it would probably be the most intense expression of that, quite
Okay,
possibly. The
okay.
only other one would be when I'm singing.
So you did mention that once before, and I kind of missed that. What's do you sing the style of song and the flavor of your dance?
Well, you asked me that, and I said I sing everything,
Well,
and
but
much
okay,
of my,
let me backtrack. I'm not necessarily pop and opera coming from the same person, however
but
that
they,
goes.
but I do, and they do.
Okay. Do you have a preference of one
Yeah,
style over the other?
not necessarily. No.
Okay.
If a song is great, a song is great. There are so many and so
Mm-hmm.
many genres. So
Now I'm really intrigued. There's so many only so many hours of the day that Mother
yeah,
Nature
I don't.
allows to see what's going on.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I'm a biology major, so we know we have to have sleep to rest and recoup our body syndrome. Now I'm going to have to assume that you have at least 3 or 4 cyborgs you keep stored in the closet that they're being charged up. So when one of it
yeah.
wears out and drains the battery, another one pulls out. How do you maintain yourself? What drives you? What's your energy?
My energy is driven by a deep um, drive to, or a deep requirement to be victorious in the things that I need to achieve. And
Okay.
I have a quite a list of things that I need out of, I need to lead, I need to sort of do and get done.
Mm-hmm.
And these things come from a deep sense of my authentic self. Is all the simplest and most truthful thing is my authentic self has a lot of things it needs to do. Being a creator is one side. Being really, really, really financially successful in technology is another side. I mean, being financially successful as a creator is priority.
Right.
All of these things come together in the same result, which is that they harmonize in me where they wouldn't harmonize in another person. So I
Okay.
call myself a unicorn.
Fair enough. I hear that. Now, I spent much time so far on the right side of your brain. I'm going to now talk about the left side of your brain. You mentioned a business also that you provide technical service, if I heard that correctly, the concept of it.
Yeah, it's a platform that is comprehensive and feature rich and growing exponentially. And I'm white labeling it, and I'm leading with a feature called the missed call text back, which
Okay.
every time an inbound call comes into a business, they immediately, if the call is missed, that business gets the customer gets a text message that says, "Hey, listen, thanks so much for calling. We're so glad," and whatever other information the business would want to convey or
Mm-hmm.
communicate to that new person, because that's a passive lead that came in. In addition to that, the person's name, number, and associated email are immediately captured so that now the business can cultivate that relationship.
Okay. So it's a technique that will respond on your behalf to the call coming in, and it will initiate further funnel factor to engage
Well,
that
yeah,
person.
it's a workflow. It's a workflow. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
it's a kind of a funnel, and it's a workflow that operates the minute a call is missed.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got a business and you've got a healthy phone activity happening. You've got a healthy phone life.
Right.
Customers call in. those customers who call your business voluntarily are passive leads that came in that you didn't have to spend marketing money to acquire. And now, if you miss those calls, that's revenue. That's a direct loss of revenue. And the numbers that people gain from this service are tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, and that is no joke.
I
That's real.
understand.
That's real money.
Okay. I'm going to share with you and my audience, our audience actually, an oxymoron. You'll say the minute the call was missed, I immediately counterpointed in my head was your call's never missed on behalf of your client because of your service. That's what I'm hearing. So it's never a matter of the minute the call is missed. It just doesn't happen. And that's what you're here for. And is that a response that you would say could be a part of your flow of business?
You could potentially say that, or capture that lost revenue is what I say at first.
Okay.
But yeah, now those calls are never missed.
Right, and that way nothing's ever lost. That's my counterpoint. That's what I'm hearing. The potential of a call being missed, the potential of revenue dissipating off, it never happens because you're here to make sure it keeps things coming in, locked in, functioning in, and that's my counterpoint
Yep.
back. Okay, so this is not about Joe Wesley, but it is about my observation. So I'm sharing that back
Yep.
with you
Yep.
conceptually. What I'm getting here is a person, you mentioned the word unicorn. Again, I'm looking at my notes, folks. Actually, as I said, I make commentaries, and I'll come back to this. Before I forget, let me do the commercial break here. Again, for those of you who sing us for the first time or repeated times, we do ask that you leave comment. Very important to us to hear from you. We do make it a point to audit those comments, and we will get back to you. If nothing else, a thumbs up works. If you have questions or comments, even bad ones, more meaning, more value for us. We learn from it, and hopefully you benefit from those comments also. Remember to share. Anything that I represent or ever represents in her life, it's in the listings under the YouTube, in the discussion or description side of this program. So feel free to reach out to her with any questions or comments, or myself. If you'd like to be a part of this hot seat challenge, to discover and a part of your secret sauce ingredient, feel free to reach out to me in that manner also. But certainly to talk about ever more so, here's a lady as I see it. She mentions the word unicorn. I think it's more intricate than that, and that's oversimplification as I see it. Here's a lady that has a strong right brain skill factor. Intrinsic as I see it. I think I'm still learning how to play chopsticks on the piano. She has learned to dance, not learn, I think it comes intrinsically in her. It's a spontaneity that I'm hearing about the dancing, about the singing. I forgot to ask if you also play an instrument. If I did, I forgot the response to that.
I did. I started with piano, then it was violin, then I went to Juilliard for the flute. I don't actually have a physical instrument now, but it's always there.
I like the way you said physical instrument, because I'm assuming you have an emotional instrument, you have a mental instrument, you have a spiritual instrument that is always playing tunes for you in your head. So when you said physical, I find that an intriguing, definite statement. And that adds to what I'm about to say here, that here's a person that has a fully functional right brain environment for the artistic value of it, for the beauty of it, for the intricacy of it. I get the impression that if it were a routine, standard approach, you'd be bored with it and you'd walk away from it in a heartbeat. That part of the draw may be, the quality of it may be the intricate layers of flavor, of it's making a good stew, I guess. That may be an oversimplification, but it's more than just water and more than just coloration. It's a lot of things that pulls it together that gives a flavor unique to ever. Now, having said the right brain side, now you talk the left brain side. And in terms of and I know for you it's all one thing, but for our audience that it may not be intuitive to. Right. That the need to not miss those calls, not miss the potential client, not miss the cash flow expectation. I get the clear sense she puts as much effort and quality value into that part of what she does that she does with her more artistic side. Rephrase that. I suspect it's also a extension of her artistic side. It won't
Yeah,
be just another mechanical product put out there. That it will
yeah,
be top notch. And feel free to interrupt me, but or if I'm wrong, certainly interrupt me. But the flavor I see, to say this differently, if you are somebody as a consumer, a business owner that says, I'm looking for something to that takes some of the burden off me, that it will provide my business a better dollar value for what I'm trying to accomplish, I would say Eva would be the kind of person you would definitely want to give a talk with. She certainly puts her heart and soul in what she does, as I see it. And I think
yeah,
it's not limited to her right brain. I think the right brain, left brain, all the same flavor here.
yeah,
And she is definitely somebody you would want to contact to, if nothing else, ask questions, because 30 minutes
yeah.
doesn't give her and myself and you nearly enough time to say, Eva, I heard a glimpse or saw a glimpse of your flavor. I'd like to know more about it. Could you, let's have a conversation. Am I far off from what I'm saying here?
No, not at all. And that's the reason I use the word unicorn, is because for most people, the concept of technology and creativity are mutually exclusive, but
Mm-hmm.
actually they're not. And the reason I say unicorn about myself is that it is something that is rare to be harmonious in one person. It is rare to say that, no, I really have my street cred when it comes to being a creator. Like, I can go out into a stadium of 50,000 people and I can rock it right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I can also rock it when I'm doing something that I'm providing a service that makes your business make more money right away.
Mm-hmm.
So these two things are not exclusive. And thank you for speaking in the way that you did, because it is, that is my entire message, is that these things are not exclusive at all. They
Okay.
are harmonious because they're me bringing them harmoniously.
Right. I think I'm going to latch onto that latter part of your commentary. It's many people do business. All of us do business. We want to keep the creditors happy. Rule number one in my lifestyle, after keeping my family happy. Having said that, many people don't spend money on new service potential because I don't want to waste it. I'm not clear if it's going to get
Mm,
my value back. But here's a person who's a human being, business owner, and I'll say, because there are business owners who aren't human, and maybe they're humans who aren't necessarily, in my world, very functional. So I will say those two things together, that really is with a passion does what she does. She's a, I would say, perfectionist. I don't think
yeah,
okay, I don't think she tolerates
I
me.
battle with that.
Fair enough. So if you're looking for somebody that you want to feel good about the potential value of getting back what you're putting into it, I would certainly say Eva is the go-to person. And that being said, at least that's my sauce flavor of preference. If it makes sense to you in the audience, feel free to learn more about her on your own and give feedback. Certainly, we do respond back as best we can. Anything you want to say, Eva, to take us home?
Yeah, I'd like to add one more thing. When
Sure.
we speak again and when we do this again, I'm going to focus with you on money mindset and all of the pieces of that puzzle that funnel in. And that I am an empath, and that also contributes in a very unique way, or I bring that in a very unique way to my work, because now I'm listening as an empath. It's a very different way of looking at technology itself. It's a different way of looking at business. It's a, I think, a higher way of looking at everything.
Okay. Whatever just alluded to, these to date, all of my Hot Seats podcasts have been one-time deal, not rehearsed, no prior knowledge. It's live and current. That ever will be the first person I will actually come back to do. I won't say a rerun. That would be an understatement, but a repeat. We can't fit it in one volume, and we'll see how that goes. We're intrigued by the potential of that. So, Eva, thank you for being who you are. Audience, thank you for being a part of this process. We'd love to hear back from you. And again, if you have subscribe to our my program, please connect with Eva to learn more about her, and keep in touch. This will be a scheduled event by all means. Otherwise, folks, have a good life, and thank you again for being part of our family.